Welcome, horror fans. I'm Jay, and this is Jay's VHS Rentals. The Strangers franchise can be a little bit confusing. For example, The Strangers Chapter 3 is coming out in cinemas, and from the name, you can obviously tell that this is the 5th movie in the franchise. Wait, 5th? Maybe we need a little recap of how we got here. But before that, you might be able to tell from my voice, I'm a little bit under the weather. I've been to the doctors and he says, I haven't got enough subscribers. 1 subscribe equals 1 prayer. Hit subscribe. So let's start back at the beginning. In 2008, Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman play a couple coming home from a party in the early hours of the morning. They're not in the jovial spirits you would expect from people who have been out partying all night. In fact, it's clear that their relationship is in a tough spot. It seems a proposal has not gone to plan. Things are pretty tense between them, but tension is about to become the running theme of the night. A stranger, you see what they did there, knocks at the door at 4 o'clock in the morning, asking,
Is Tamara here?
And after being sent away, she returns a short time later, only to repeat the question.
Tamara home?
The couple are then terrorized throughout the course of the night by 3 people in masks. Masked Man, Dollface, and Pinup. They start small and build up until they try and escape to find that their tires have been slashed. The intruders break into the house, they smash the phones, make their presence known, only to disappear again and then reappear. Around the midpoint of the movie, the shining golden god of acting, Glenn Howerton, shows up. Unfortunately for him, the couple have armed themselves. He comes in to see if they need help, walks around the corner, pow, right in the kisser. It's pretty shocking. They again try and make a run for it, this time trying to use Dennis's car, but they're again cut off. After this, the couple are stalked in a game of cat and mouse, which all ends with them tied to chairs. Owen asks the killers,
Why are you doing this to us?
and Dollface replies,
Because you were home.
before they take turns in stabbing the couple. After the strangers leave, some kids find the couple and call the police. And at the end of the movie, you see Liv gasping to show that she's still alive. The movie does a great job of building up tension through the first half. I just feel like it doesn't really build up to that much. Like, I get the commentary on the randomness of violence. This couple weren't victims because they broke some of the rules from Scream or something. They were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. But I just wanted more. And a whole decade later, we did get more. The Strangers, Prey by Night, from 2018. The movie opens up with Man in the Mask, Pinup, and Dollface killing a couple, but it's all off screen. We then follow Cindy and Mike and their kids, Luke and Kinsley. They're all on a road trip and going to stop at their aunt and uncle's empty trailer park, which is honestly creepy enough without the mask killers. But this is just a pit stop. They're on their way to take Kinsley to boarding school because she's a delinquent teen. The movie is reinforcing the fact that she's a delinquent teen by showing you that she smokes and owns a Ramones t-shirt. Although maybe she's just cool, I don't know. On arrival,
Is Tamara home?
after some failed attempt at family bonding, the teens go off and things really start to escalate when they find the bodies of their aunt and uncle. The uncle's face is completely mutilated, and it really sets the tone for the level of violence we're dealing with. This movie is not a slow burn like the last one. Oh no. After a reunion with their parents, they inexplicably decide to split up again, forming mother-daughter and father-son teams. The son takes his father to go show where they found the body. Mum and Kinsley, on the other hand, have a run-in with Dollface, and she stabs the mum to death. The dad and Luke have a run-in with the man in the mask, and in a crash trying to escape from him, the dad gets absolutely impaled. He sends Luke off with a gun in hand, but Man in the Mask reappears, gets in the car, and finishes the dad off with an ice pick. It's real up close and personal and brutal. Dollface then lures Kinsley into a trap and stabs her in the leg, but Luke arrives to help her. After hiding Kinsley underneath one of the caravan porches, he tries to call the police from the local store. However, Pinup cuts the phone line. He escapes from the shop into the poolside, where Luke kills Pinup before Man in the Mask attacks him with an axe. They have a pretty dramatic and badass fight in the water, where Luke is eventually stabbed in the back and left to bleed out in the pool. Kinsley pulls him out of the water before he dies and attempts to seek help, and manages somehow to find a lone policeman, who is instantly killed by Dollface. Kinsley uses the cop's shotgun to shoot Dollface. She again asks,
Why are you doing this?
Dollface responds,
Why not?
apparently this is not a satisfactory answer, and Kinsley executes Dollface. Kinsley tries to escape in the cop's patrol car, but is run off the road by Man in the Mask. The crash causes a rupture in the vehicle's gas tanks, and Kinsley lights them with her Zippo, because remember, she's cool. Man in the Mask actually continues to pursue her on fire like some sort of awesome Terminator, before finally dropping dead. Kinsley then flags down a passing truck for help, and after one final attack from Man in the Mask, she takes a baseball bat to the side of his head. The movie ends with Kinsley and Luke in a hospital room, before a slow familiar knock is heard. So you could be forgiven for thinking that with all three of the Strangers dead, that would be the end of the franchise. But you'd be wrong, because The Strangers Chapter 1 is next. So how did they survive? Is this a prequel, or is this a reboot, or a remake, or a pre-sequel? Well, if you think The Strangers is going to offer you any sort of explanation, you've not been paying attention. But the director did say this: it's a reimagining and a trilogy based on the original film. Take from that what you will. We're now following Maya and Ryan, who are on a road trip. After a detour, they stop in a small town. They visited the diner, which is full of untrusting and untrustworthy locals. And whilst eating, they come back out and find that car troubles are now forcing them to spend an overnight stay in a remote lodge. Things progress pretty much in the same way as it did in the original movie. Someone knocks and asks for Tamara, and then after they answer the door knock, the strangers begin to torment the couple. The whole thing kind of plays out like the same story, with all of the same beats as the original. The bit where the girl is alone in the house, the escalation, the finding the gun, the accidental shooting of an innocent person, and after we dance the whole same old dance, we end up in the same place, with the couple, once again, tied to chairs. Once again, we ask the question, why are you doing this? And once again, the answer is, because you are here. This is a slight variation, rather than because you are home. It's slight, but a deliberate difference. Sirens are then heard in the distance, causing the masked killers to leave the scene, and our couple are bleeding out on the floor. But here's where things change. The first movie ends like this. However, this time, we're just drawing to the close on Act 3, and the movie wraps things up, confirming that Maya is in hospital. Having retread the same ground 3 times now, The Strangers Chapter 2 opens in a completely unexpected way, and it reveals the identity of Dollface. It's Shelley, the waitress from the diner in the last movie. She gathers with all of her other potential suspects for the other killers in the diner, and we get a short flashback of Shelley as a child, before we rejoin Maya, our final girl from the previous movie, recovering in the hospital. She gets a phone call this time, asking if Tamara's there, and we swiftly resume our game of cat and mouse, as the strangers begin to stalk her in the hospital. By the time this chase around the hospital has worked its way into the morgue, I was beginning to wonder if anyone else even works in the hospital. That's the point where an orderly shows up and is hacked to death by the Man in the Mask, who, by the way, is now credited as Scarecrow. I don't know why that changed, but we'll roll with it. I like it. This buys Maya a brief window which she uses to escape. She manages to escape to a farm and has a brief encounter with the owner of said farm, who indicates that the sheriff is unlikely to help her. That's all the explanation we get though, because Pin-Up Girl shoots her with a crossbow. Maya runs and hides in the stable, and when Pin-Up Girl follows her in there, she attacks her with a pitchfork, stabbing her. Escaping from the farm, she runs out into the road and is almost run over by the nurse who is treating her in the hospital. The nurse agrees to take Maya back to her place so she can repair her burst stitches. On the drive, they pick up the nurse's roommates. Maya has a full-on PTSD freakout, jumps out of a moving car, and runs off into the woods. After she stitches herself back together with the first aid kit that she stole from the nurse's car, she finds a little campsite and lights a fire. Her respite is short-lived though, because she's attacked by a wild boar. This thing is a beast, literally. The battle is really fierce and intense, but Maya triumphs. Dollface then finds the camp, and we get another one of those flashbacks, this time showing her bonding with the child who we assume will grow up to be the Scarecrow, the artist formerly known as Man in the Mask. We also see her growing jealousy of another child with the name of Tamara. Maya, however, has returned to the house from Chapter 1. After grabbing some supplies, she runs into a state trooper. Unfortunately, the state trooper gets taken out by Pin-Up Girl's crossbow again. Boy, she's ready to call in a kill streak at this rate. Maya manages to escape in the trooper's car. However, the car craps out. She runs to the nearest house, which happens to be the residence of the nurse from earlier on. Turns out the nurse has actually recovered her phone for her, and one of her friends has arranged for an EMT to come and pick her up. Once again, her respite is short-lived. Pin-Up and Dollface both attack the nurse's house. Maya finds the nurse and her girlfriend tied to chairs and stabbed to death. And outside of the house, the EMT is also dead. Maya makes a run for the ambulance and finds Pin-Up Girl waiting inside it, but Maya stabs her with some scissors. It seems it'll take more than some scissoring to take out Pin-Up Girl though. Pin-Up Girl tries to strangle Maya as she drives the ambulance. However, Maya intentionally crashes the vehicle, sending Pin-Up Girl through the window. This does the trick. As Maya escapes into the night, Scarecrow and Dollface show up. The pair seem to mourn their friend as he removes her mask, and we're treated to one final flashback. The children are playing a game that involves knocking on the door of the playhouse and asking if Tamara is there. The first time the kid that is going to be Scarecrow does it, she opens the door and kisses him. However, the next time someone knocks, it's the young Pinhead, and she bludgeons Tamara to death. We see the kids that will grow up to be Pin-Up and Scarecrow sat cross-legged, doodling in the pool of blood that was Tamara. So now that the franchise has moved beyond its initial premise of just because or you were there, and we have something that is beginning to resemble some lore and history and motivation, dare I say it, a plot, what can we expect in Chapter 3? Well, the trailer does show at some point Maya is going to be behind the Dollface mask. Will this be of her own free will? Maybe killing the boar has awakened something in her. Or maybe she's being held hostage. Scarecrow seems to be confirmed as the nurse's roommate, although it's not explicitly said. So that could be a curveball, we don't know. The events of the movies today definitely have some sort of impact on Maya. Another big question that we need to answer is who Dollface is. Put your guesses in the comments before the movie comes out, so you can get the bragging rights. The other thing that I'm really hoping that number 3 explains is how Richard Brake's sheriff character is tied into all of this. The comments that the farmer made about him not helping indicate that they seem to have something on him. He's got to be not doing this for a reason. There you have it. You're now up to date with Strangers franchise. You can go watch Strangers Chapter 3 knowing that there are 2 strangers left. Maya is still on the run. And we might actually get some answers for once. Finally! If you want more horror deep dives, top 10s, recaps, nonsense, all that good stuff, every week hit subscribe. If you could like and comment on this video, that would really help me out. It would go a long way. I'm a tiny little channel in a tiny little VHS shop. Look at my tapes. But until next time, I'm Jay. This is Jay's VHS Rentals. Be kind, rewind.